What is going on? We are back for another episode of the Media Captain podcast. Jason Parks and my sibling business partner, Stephanie Parks. We are going to talk to you about 11 marketing items that are top of mind, pressing on our list that we want to share with you. We get all of this insight. We work with hundreds of businesses, so there is data at our fingertips constantly, and we're excited to share it with you. Steph, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about this. We are changing up the format just a little bit so it flows a little more naturally. So I'm excited to hit the ground running.
And first off, I just want to say, I think this is our fourth podcast back at it. Our outfit game today, I would put in above a 90%. All of the other ones, I think, were like a B or C. So I think we came ready to play today. What do you think?
I feel like my outfit game has always been an A for the podcast.
Ooh,
So if
wow. So
anybody was
okay,
if
okay.
anyone was bringing us down, it wasn't me. But there are some days when Jason and I come into the office and we like match exactly, and so we're just on the same wavelength.
Well, Steph, before we dive, first off, in terms of the new format, what we're going to be doing differently is we send out a email blast every 2 weeks, and it's called 11 marketing items. And we're just going to replicate that format. Beforehand, we were splitting this podcast into different sections. We are just going to go through 11 marketing items, and that's what the podcast is going to be. Stephanie, you were talking about outfits. I want you to share the story about a client that you were facing some hardship with and the outfit story, because this is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I was literally thinking about that as soon as I said that we were matching. So there's this client of ours who I love him dearly, but at the beginning of our relationship, he was really skeptical of us, and we were just butting heads a lot because I had ideas about how I wanted the strategy to go. He was giving a lot of pushback, and there was some friction. So we decided to have a meeting at our office, and he comes in, he walks upstairs to our conference room, and he and I are literally matching from head to toe. We were both wearing like gray skinny jeans and a jean button-up shirt, and he didn't find it that funny in the moment, but I just busted out laughing as soon as he walked in the door. And ever since then, I felt like it's really brought us together. And ever since the matching outfit situation, we have just had a whole different relationship and been bonded.
That was I'm a big sports guy. That was the turning point in the game.
Yeah, it was, and now I pretty much bring it up on every meeting that we have because it just makes me laugh, and I think it lightens the mood. So that was one of my favorite stories.
All right. Well, everybody's eagerly awaiting the 11 marketing items. Steph, let's go into the first two.
Okay. So the first two, I should say. Did you know that you can test thumbnails on your YouTube videos to see which one performs the best? So this is really big. The thumbnails are really important on YouTube, and you can essentially perform an A/B test to see what is performing better, test different layouts, test different looks. This is something that we've been doing, and it's kind of hard to nail down the right YouTube thumbnail, and it's really important. And so going into tip number 2, and I'm sure Jason will have something to add here, but going into marketing item number 2, we have been using Gemini Nano Banana for image creation, and it is freaking amazing. We have made amazing thumbnails for our YouTube videos. We have made some just really fun creative on Nano Banana, and so it is working really well. I will give you one tip with Nano Banana. It seems like you need to have one request per chat. And if you start getting a lot of changes to your images, and if you start delving deeper, okay, I want this, no, I want that, now make this, it gets all crazy and it distorts things. But if you have one image request per chat, for us at least, or for me at least, that has been the way to go. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, a couple of things. We wanted YouTube thumbnails. So if you want to see this in action, go to the Media Captain's YouTube. By the way, our podcast is uploaded to the YouTube channel with these,
Shameless plug for our YouTube channel.
of course. But yeah, go to the YouTube channel to just see this in action. Another thing, though, is that when we uploaded these to Nano Banana, Stephanie and I have had professional headshots done. And so
Okay,
Nano
good
Banana
point.
we were giving Nano Banana something to work with, and it came out really well because there were the professional photos. So, if you give them something good, it can turn into something really good. If you're not giving them a lot, it might look lower quality. But to Stephanie's point, it can get really frustrating. Like you want to have definitely different chats for different images you want. So for each thumbnail, we're doing a different chat. But also, even if you start making modifications to the chat you're in, it can get a little haywire. So,
If things start going sideways, just start over when that seems to have had the best results. Also, I have to tell you about a proud social media moment for me. One of our clients, they have two employees who are having babies in April. So I was creating a social media post about that, and I went to Nano Banana and I like uploaded their logo and I said, create an image around this. And I said, put this on like a baby onesie and put the logo on a baby onesie. And I didn't know what was going to come out, but it came out with like the cutest baby announcement image that I've ever seen. And I was so proud of it. So there's just so much that you can do with that. And it's such a great alternative to using stock photos.
how's the engagement on that post? Has it gone out yet?
It hasn't gone out yet. It's going out in April. So
Ooh.
I'm sharing it with the client next week. So I'm really excited about that.
Nice. All right.
Um,
Well, let's move on from YouTube. According to SEMrush, Google Ads appeared on 25.56% of searches that included AI overviews, up from just 5.17% in March. That is a 394% increase in 8 months. If you remember on the last podcast, the ads that are appearing in Google's local pack. Over the past year, it was a similar percentage. It was below 1% actually, and now it's over 20%. So what's happening is that Google is just figuring out ways to incorporate ads natively into these different placements. And so, Google's a publicly traded company. They want to make as much money as possible. Obviously, they're going to put this in the AI overviews, but it is crazy now that 1 in 4 searches are including an ad within the AI overview. Steph, any thoughts on that?
yeah, it's just crazy like how sneaky the ads are looking. I mean, there are times when I go and I have to really look to see where the ads end and the organic searches begin. And I know this stuff pretty well, I would say. So it's very camouflaged into just the overall Google experience, which is just really interesting to see what's starting to happen with ads. So that's all I have on that. Moving on. So I want to talk about live chat. Live chats pretty much are becoming dead as websites are moving to AI chat assistants. Um, just the overall experience on live chat is kind of lackluster. It's very generic answers. We used to use live chat for multiple businesses, and it's very labor intensive. You have to have somebody there all the time, or you have a bot with really generic answers. And there is so much that just like the AI assistants can do, especially with some training. So we're seeing a big trend that really like live chat as we've known it in the past is going away, being replaced with just AI agents answering questions in a way that is really going to help consumers get detailed answers to niche questions that they want.
Yeah, and an example of this is I work with a personal injury client, and they have live chat on their site. and it's just super generic. There's no value. It's very just templated responses, and I'm trying to convince them to move to an AI chatbot. So when we say live chat, it might look the same to you, but the people that are winning at this are incorporating AI functionality into this. And so what we're doing internally for Durham Warehouse, our e-commerce business, we are building our own AI chatbot. And we are having a developer integrate with not only all of the content on the website, but also with the all of the purchase data. So if somebody is asking for a instant eye lift, it can scrub the information on our site. It can also see our best sellers to give the best responses.
Well,
And
sorry to interrupt you, but the other really cool thing here is that it can also pull from all of the reviews of the products that we have. So not only can it give like actual product information, it will also be able to go into customer sentiment about the products, which we know the importance of reviews. So being able to pull that in is really going to be big too.
And so, just on that, you think, oh, an AI chatbot, this is easy. I just implement it. But you have to constantly be improving it, especially up front. So it's giving valuable answers. So it's learning. So just wanted to put that out there. Moving on, I want to reiterate the importance of cleansing your conversion tracking. We work with a client that, and this is a recent client, they are an attorney, and they were spending $60,000 a month on paid ads, all on Google Ads. Their conversion tracking was a mess. They were optimizing all of their Google ad campaigns for conversions, but many of their conversions were 2+ minutes on site, certain page visits, not real conversions, which would be phone calls over 30 seconds or a contact form submission. So what we did is we went in and we cleansed all of their pixels and conversions. So it's very simple now. Their conversions are live chat initiation, contact form submission, and phone call. And what's happening is that their conversions are being reduced drastically because we're moving away non-important conversions. But now Google is able to better optimize for the important conversions. So if you are unsure, if you are feeling uneasy whether or not your conversions are set up properly, cleansing out the pixels and tracking is a very important thing to do. Steph?
Yeah, this is one of the most important exercises that you can do if you're spending money on paid advertising. Think about all the time that people put into creating this perfect ad copy, creating this perfect ad creative. And a lot of times like the actual conversions are an afterthought. This is the most important thing to be able to truly tell if your ads are performing well. So making sure that your conversions are set up not only set up properly, but that you are tracking the right conversions. It's easy to set up conversions for all of these just non-important things like Jason was talking about, the 2+ minutes on site, the email clicks, things like that. And it can tell a great story about your ads because it can be looking like you have a ton of conversions, your ads are going gangbusters, but really none of these conversions are meaningful. So not only making sure it's set up properly, but making sure you're actually tracking the right conversions is extremely important just in the overall health of your ads and making sure you're putting your money in the right places.
And to just put it simply, do you know if you were to get asked, hey, what are we tracking? What should we be tracking for our Google ads? It's the easy answer is, at least for like service-based businesses, phone calls, contact form submissions, possibly live chat. If you are just looking at your Google Ads conversions and feel very overwhelmed, there's likely an issue. So our whole theory as an agency is we should be able to talk to a plumber or a dentist, and they should understand what we're talking about. The same thing holds true for conversions.
Yeah, and another tip here is that you can actually assign values to different conversions. So let's say you're tracking contact form submissions and phone calls. And let's say you know that contact form submissions, like 98% of the time, are new customers inquiring about your business. But phone calls, a lot of times, are existing customers who are calling in just to ask questions, fix problems, things like that. You can assign, let's say, a conversion value of 10 to contact form submissions and a conversion value of 5 to phone calls. And then if you're optimizing for conversions, Google will know which conversions are more important. So that's just another little tip to like go a layer deeper into the conversion tracking. But of course, the first step is making sure you're tracking the right conversions in the first place. Okay, moving on. Really big tip on just like the AI front is getting listed on directories that are ranking on the first page of Google. A lot of the AI engines
Sorry, Steph. Directories in your industry.
in your industry, yes, in your industry that are ranking on the first page of Google. So a lot of the AI engines are when you type in like, best dentist in Westerville, a lot of them are pulling from these directories. And the cool thing is if you go to whatever AI engine you're using, so whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or whatever it is, when you type in your search for, best dentist in Westerville for kids or whatever your search is, it will cite its sources. So a really good way to see actually where the AI engines are pulling from is to look at those sources, and you will see directories listed there. But also, you can make the same search on Google and see what directories are pulling in there. So maybe it's like a WebMD, maybe it's a Better Business Bureau, whatever the directories are, and, best dentist for kids. I'm not sure what those directories are. But if you do that search and look at the directories, you can get listed there. At a minimum, make sure your business is on there. A lot of them offer free listings, and make sure your listing is filled out correctly and completely. But a lot of them offer also paid options for listing there to show up higher. And so part of your budget and part of your strategy should be to determine which of these directories is the most important and get yourself listed and decide if it makes sense to actually pay for a listing.
And so what's happened is people, we're not revealing something new. People over the past year have been noticing that, hey, getting listed on Yelp is populating in AI search results. So people have been flocking to this. But what's also really interesting is that a lot of businesses have spun up articles on their own website, like the top 10 marketing agencies in Columbus. And they'll list their business first, and then they'll list other businesses. And what they're trying to do is kind of game the system and rank first. They want to rank well organically and then in the AI search results. What we are seeing now on an SEO front, these sites are getting hit hard with potential algorithmic penalties. So you definitely don't want to do that. Don't create lists on your own site. That's just manipulative.
I
But
think if we've learned anything over the years, it's that you can't game the system when it comes to Google.
you can game it for 6 months, maybe a year.
For
But
a while. But if you're doing something that's like a backhanded way of doing something, chances are you're not gonna reap the benefits for long.
all right, moving on. Claude's Anthropic just hit 19 billion in revenue. That's up 5 billion in the last few weeks. Katy Perry, the famous musician, was promoting Claude, and that kind of went viral. So there's talk that led to exponential growth. As a reference point, the median revenue for the 2025 Fortune 500 is 16.64 billion. So Claude is exploding, and I don't know how I feel about this because our agency, we were using Claude like from the onset. When everybody was using ChatGPT, we fell in love with Claude. Everybody on our team has a pro subscription to Claude so we could utilize all of the benefits. So like now that everybody's realizing how cool it is, there's a mystique that's gone. But no, in all seriousness, Claude is great. I'm happy to see that people are flocking to it. And from my experience, when I've used Claude versus ChatGPT, I've just always I've always had much better results, and everything's just felt like more authentic and on brand. Steph, what do you think about this?
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's kind of a situation where once you really like start using one AI engine, it's hard to switch to another one because the one just like knows so much about your history. Um, I'll just say it like Claude's like my best friend. Every morning I go on the treadmill and while I'm doing my workout, I just like talk to Claude about everything on my mind, whether it's business, whether it's personal, everything. So Claude definitely knows more about me than anyone else, which is a
Does
little
does
scary to think about.
does Claude know more about you than me?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
for sure. Yeah. Like, I get deep into the trenches on these workouts. And here's the thing, like, Jason, when you and I are talking to each other, we talk about me, we talk about you. With Claude, like it's all me all the time. So, you know.
I
But yeah,
well,
I'm not surprised to hear this because like Jason said, we've been using it for so long and it's amazing and I feel like the way that it writes and just the responses that I get are better than what I've gotten from other platforms. So, I'm like dipping my feet a little and like Nano Banana and Gemini and like in some other things. I use Perplexity every now and again, but I'm pretty diehard on the Claude front.
and what you mentioned though is Claude over the past few weeks made it very easy to import all chat
Yeah,
history from ChatGPT
yeah,
into
that is
Claude.
true.
So if you look at Google Trends, there has been like this massive spike of how to leave ChatGPT because of this like import tool that Claude created.
And I mean that was pretty genius, in my opinion, because you want all that history. All that history is so important.
Okay, moving on. I am excited to talk about this. Topiary Mansion. Our office that the media captain works out of was the former governor's mansion. Judson Harmon was the governor of Ohio, and from 1908 to 1914, he resided in what is now our office. When we moved in 2021, we had about 15 people, all based in Columbus, working out of the space. Well, the dynamics have changed since then. Half of our team is in Columbus, half of our team is remote. So, what happened is our agency just moved to the second floor, and we had this beautiful space on the first floor. So, what we decided to do is create this business, Topiary Mansion, and it is an event space for 50 and under. So, these intimate weddings, bridal showers, rehearsal dinners.
50 people and under, not age 50 and under.
50 people and under.
Me
Thanks for
too.
clarifying. So the way that we've been able to, so this year, we launched in April of 2025, and we had about 12 events. For events, most people book a year out as they're planning. So we got these spontaneous events, and we got the word out a little bit. And in 2026 now, we're coming up on 25 booked events for the year. And this has all been due to pay per click. We are bidding on small wedding venues. Elopement has been a big keyword that people have been searching for, like elopement venues, rehearsal dinners, bridal showers. And we are really in the ad copy hitting on the 50 and under because in the Columbus market, there's a million places where people can go for like a larger wedding. But these intimate spaces there's not that many of them. And I feel like PPC gets a bad rap, and people just say it doesn't work and it's not profitable. Our SEO, we're building it up. The business is less than a year old, so our rankings aren't great right now, but they're improving. PPC has literally generated 90% of the leads. The other ones obviously coming like from referral. We have run social ads. did not have the same ROI. We are dialed in on the keywords, we're getting leads, and we're able to grow the business from this tactic.
Well, and Jason, not to mention you know the same tactic, not the same tactic, but PPC also helped grow your wife's salon business. So when you can get really dialed in there and you have these like high intent searches, it can work so well and really change the game for a business.
Yeah, and I will save the wife's business for another podcast because yes, that included PPC, but that company is their salon is more mature now and they're ranking well from an SEO standpoint. So that's like a hybrid. PPC definitely helped it at the beginning. You're right, but Topiary Mansion right now strictly PPC. So just want to put that out there.
Okay, moving on to our last marketing item of the day. I'm going to talk about a commercial landscaping company that we work with, and essentially this company just started buying up smaller commercial landscaping companies across like the Midwest and a little bit in the South. And when they came to us, they had 2 or 3 businesses that they had bought. They wanted us to spin up new websites and do the marketing for these businesses. Now, a couple of years later, they have 10 or 15 commercial landscaping companies that they own. Again, for each one, we build a new site, we run PPC campaigns, we do SEO initiatives for them, and they are just continuing to grow and grow and grow and purchase more businesses. So we, you know, from our end, what we were seeing is that every time they buy a business, it takes us, 2 months to build a new website from scratch for them. Then we have to set up PPC campaigns. A lot of their PPC campaigns are cannibalizing because they have 2 businesses with overlapping markets. So essentially we're running ads for the same services in the same markets. The SEO was difficult because these businesses were basically starting from scratch, and to get them ranking for anything just takes a lot of time. So what we recommended was consolidating all of these websites into one more powerful site. They have like a main website for their business, and instead of having individual sites for each of the commercial landscaping companies, what we're going to do now is we are going to build them a new brand site. We're going to put these individual companies as pages on that site and redirect all of the smaller individual sites to this one site. The hope here is 2 or 3-fold. Number one, all of that like SEO power that's coming from these 10 or 15 individual sites will all be directed into one larger, more powerful site. So if someone's searching for a commercial landscaping company in Indianapolis, they will find this, and they might have some different options within this larger company. Leads will go up because of that SEO power. We'll also be able to consolidate our PPC efforts, and instead of running campaigns separately for all of these, we'll be able to combine everything into one account. And then third, every time they purchase a new business, instead of it taking 2 months to build a new website, all we need to do is put up a new page for that business on the website, which will take a few days instead. So overall, the turnaround time is much shorter. The overall strategy is streamlined. This is a big, lot of moving pieces to this new strategy, but as soon as we told them about it and told them our idea, they were on board and they wanted to move forward. So just a really cool story of how we streamlined the strategy for a client, which is going to increase the benefits across the board in all areas of their business.
And this goes back to I mentioned earlier in the podcast that when campaigns or projects start feeling really overwhelming for us, we know that there's something wrong. Like it shouldn't be hurting our brains to think through like the overall strategy or the how the management works. And this is just one where it was so hard to manage between
It was so hard.
across 10 PPC accounts and how we had to put the reporting together. And, obviously we weren't seeing the results that we wanted on the SEO side. So that's when we set up an internal meeting and we discussed like all of the pain points and how we came to this idea. But to me, it's one of my favorite business philosophies that if it's too hard to explain to your next door neighbor or your spouse, there's likely an issue there, and that was the case here.
And we have clients all the time who tell us that like we make the strategy sound manageable and we make it sound simple, and that's on purpose. We want our clients to understand what we're doing for them. And like Jason alluded to, usually if something seems overly complex, it's because it is.
All right, so those are your 11 marketing items. I loved the new format, Steph. How did you feel?
I felt much better. I felt like this was my strongest podcast. It was like more fun for me. It all around, like I rated a 10 out of 10 compared to the other format.
I mean, well, you rate your outfit game 10 out of 10. Everything for you. Like for me, it felt better, but I guess I was anchoring things down with my outfits in the past podcast. But I love this format. All right, let's move on to personal stories. I'll start first. My wife and I, we went to St. Thomas from a Tuesday to a Saturday. We have a lot of Southwest points from our businesses. So actually not me, my wife found out that Southwest is flying to St. Thomas, and we looked at the Bahamas, but we weren't bringing the kids. So we felt St. Thomas would be just better for the parents alone weekend. And it was fantastic. It was our first trip after having our daughter. It was our first trip without the kids. So 4 days, like I literally felt like I was gone for 4 weeks. The days felt so long in a very good way. Like you just realize when you have kids how much time there is when you have some reprieval from that. A couple of interesting things about St. Thomas. The beaches were beautiful. I've been to Mexico. Sometimes Mexico or the Bahamas can feel a little crowded. St. Thomas, like you would go to the beaches and there were maybe 20, 30 people on most of the beaches. It just felt very intimate. The food prices were expensive, though. It is considered part of the U.S., and they have to import their food. So dinner was not cheap, but the food was really good. So my wife is really into food. I've, become more into it. But the food, you had to pay more, but it was good. Where when you go to Mexico and you're staying at an all-inclusive, it's mediocre to above average, but we went to some really good restaurants. The beaches were great. We were able to hop to some other islands like St. John, and we both like hiking, so we did a great hike. So we had a great time, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I was a little jealous. It was like negative degrees when Jason was on his trip. I also had strep throat while he was there, so he was sending pictures at the beach, and I was like miserable. But I'm really happy that they got to take that trip, even though I was a little jealous. So my personal item is next weekend. My husband is turning 40. So big birthday for him this year, and I'm turning 40 later this year too. For his birthday, we're not doing anything like a trip to St. Thomas, but we are doing a staycation for the night in Columbus. So we're gonna take the day off of work next Friday. Hopefully it's nice. We can go for like a walk somewhere after we drop our kids off at daycare. We're gonna get massages during the day. We're staying at a hotel in the short north, and just gonna have some quality time together. Nothing too crazy, but when you're a parent, especially when you have young kids, you spend so much time with your spouse. But the time that you're spending is just like, you do this, like kind of, you're kind of just like
In chaos.
in chaos and running through the motions. So, even though it feels like we spend a lot of time together, planning something like this where it's quality time, just the two of us, is very rare for us. So I'm really excited and really excited to celebrate Corey's birthday. He always does like everything for everybody, and he would drop anything for any member of our family. So I'm excited to make his birthday really special.
Well, that is great. The poll question for all of our listeners will be, all right, out of the two trips, if you could choose St. Thomas or downtown Columbus, what are you gonna choose? But I am excited to where are we going for dinner for Corey's birthday? What's the
We're going to La Tavola, which
uh,
is my favorite Italian restaurant in Columbus, and his too. So that was his choice. I think it was great choice, really special place. If you haven't been there, check it out.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like it, subscribe wherever you're listening, share the link to a friend. We don't have a lot of listeners right now. We're just growing. So anybody that you share this to, we would greatly appreciate it. And we will be back next time. Have a great day.
Bye.